Do you recall Larry the Cable Guy? Is the name familiar to you? Let's reminisce about the long-gone comedian Larry the Cable Guy. The comedian whose unforgettable Southern accent and slogan "Git-R-Done" catapulted him to stardom has suddenly disappeared from the comedy scene. But where on earth could he be? Because of his slow, humorous Southern accent, he became famous in the comedy industry and later on the internet. Hold on a second. Did he really go by Larry? We hate to be the bearers of bad news, but the name did garner a lot of attention. Daniel Lawrence was his actual name. Daniel Lawrence, who was he and why did he quit stand-up comedy? Okay, let's get started. Tom and Shirley Whitney have a son named Daniel Lawrence. He grew up on an 80-acre farm, distant from the noise and chaos of the city, and it was a fascinating time for him. What a crazy upbringing! Wow, it was in Pawnee City, Nebraska, where the property lay. When he was 16 years old, he uprooted his life and settled in West Palm Beach, Florida. Though he began his career as a Christian pastor, Daniel's dad went on to become the principal of King's Academy, a primary school in West Palm Beach, Florida. In 1982, Daniel earned his diploma from Berean Christian School in West Palm Beach, where he had previously attended. He continued to play sports throughout his school years, particularly football, which he did with great passion and energy. His impersonation of a Southern accent has made Daniel famous around the world. He didn't hone that talent until he enrolled in college, when he studied speech and drama at both Baptist University of America and the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. He attributes his distinctive accent in large part to his Texan and Georgian housemates. Who could have predicted that this one skill of his would propel him to such fame? After going through all that, he decided to try stand-up comedy and dropped out of school after his junior year. This was the way he saw a future for himself, and he was proven right. It was in 2005 when Daniel Lawrence Whitney and a young lady named Kara exchanged wedding vows. They raised 2 children and had a lovely life together after that. His children are Wyatt, a son, and Reagan, a girl. Living on a 180-acre, 73-hectare farm in Lincoln, Nebraska, he has remained faithful to his early roots. Growing up on such expansive land must have been an incredible experience for his children. Being married to a famous person, particularly a comic, isn't easy. People can be quite judgmental about your actions, but life is still fun. Kara Whitney has done an excellent job shielding her family from public view. Kara is a writer and former radio host from the United States. In addition to her status as Daniel Lawrence's wife, she has a long and illustrious past in the entertainment world. She had a starring role in the classic TV show Family Feuds when she was younger. Kara Whitney, who was born on May 26, 1976, in Wisconsin, spent a large portion of her youth on her father's farm, where she developed a deep affection for many animals. She has a deep affection for horses and is vocal about her admiration for them. Her life on a horse farm and the many experiences she had there are detailed in books she produced on the subject. Her latest work, Unbridled Faith Devotions for Young Readers, was published not long ago. A children's book chronicling the author's experiences living on a 180-acre farm in Nebraska with 12 horses. 100 Devotions from the Horse Farm, Unbridled Faith, 2018. A Life of Faith Unfettered, Devotions for Young Readers, 2020, and The Horse Farm's Fields of Grace for Sharing Faith. Only a handful of her writings have ever dealt with horses or horse ranches, among them are 2021. In addition to her work in publishing, Kara has been making good use of the internet. Christian websites like Faith Gateway have published many of her pieces. She includes images of horses to elucidate her points in her articles. It was in this location that Kara attended high school. While she was there that her love for acting and creative writing blossomed. Following that, she returned to her alma mater, the University of Wisconsin-River Falls, to get a degree in broadcast journalism. Kara uprooted her life and headed west in pursuit of a career in television. She hosted and produced shows for Midwest networks before returning to her home state. Kara is very private about her family, therefore very little is known about her parents and siblings. The fact that she and her children have deftly avoided the limelight speaks volumes about her marital status and her parenting abilities. Daniel worked hard to earn the admiration of his admirers. He did not become a favorite suddenly. He had to start from nothing, like many others, and he didn't become famous quickly. He began his professional career in the early 1990s when he took a job in radio. Among his many popular appearances were those on the Bob and Tom program, Wakin' Up with the Wolf, The Chris Baker Show, and The Ron and Ron Show, among many others. The fact that thousands tune in to hear him daily speaks something about his talent. After all, his humor must be legendary. Nowadays, not even Hollywood A-listers receive such reverence. It only takes a few viewings of a single film before you grow bored with it. Contrast this with the radio, where the same host would be broadcasting the same news and other topics day in and day out. Maybe a comic named Larry or Daniel, if you prefer, was merely there to keep the event going and amuse the crowd. He achieved fame solely as a result of his exceptional comedic abilities. He has been an amazing comic. He has 7 comedic albums to his name. He had his records classified in the highest possible honor because they received such a tremendous response. The RIAA certified 2 of his 7 albums as platinum upon shipment. One of the albums from this pair achieved gold certification. 1 million copies of platinum albums and 50,000 copies of gold albums were patented. That is an astounding sum. If I may inquire, who was the RIAA in question? The RIAA is the name of the organization. Distributors and record labels in the United States make up the Recording Industry Association of America, RIAA. The Recording Industry Association of America, RIAA, has been in operation since 1952 and takes great pride in the fact that over 85% of all legally marketed recorded music in the U.S. is either created, manufactured, or distributed by them. Have you ever wanted to know what made Larry the Cable Guy so unique? Well, he had a number of famous people watching out for his potential as it developed. After starring in 3 films pertaining to blue-collar comedies, as well as the well-known Larry the Cable Guy, Health Inspector, Witless Protection, and Delta Force, he began to achieve renown and become a household figure. Someone doesn't need intelligence to find humor in fart jokes, but they would have to be foolish not to, as Louis C.K. memorably said in a recent interview with The Daily Show. No one enjoys or is willing to admit they like fart jokes. The bulk of Larry the Cable Guy's act consists of fart jokes. It is nonetheless a reasonably sturdy item. The fact that he could make people laugh with even the most subtle fart jokes is a testament to his comedic sense. Daniel had a tough time getting his name out there at first, as he didn't get into comedy. Many famous personalities in the entertainment industry have used creative stage names to further their careers. Since going by his customary moniker was not bringing him any favor, Daniel essentially continued in the same vein. The character of Cable Guy, which he created, became wildly popular very quickly. He became so attached to it that he hasn't ceased using it since. One could argue that Daniel readily surrendered his identity to Larry, but who would object if their secret identity was bringing in a fortune? Success after success followed Daniel as he began to rely heavily on catchphrase comedy. The well-known line "Git-R-Done" was a part of the performance. Because of this, he had the brilliant idea to shift his comedy focus to catchphrases, and he became famous for his characters thanks to a number of his catchphrases. Oh Lord, I'm sorry for that. May the pygmies in New Guinea who are starving to death have mercy on them. Amen. When given a dubious joke, this HR helps bring laughs to the audience. As for getting people to laugh uncontrollably, he would say things like, "It doesn't matter who you are." That's funny. Right here he confirms that his antics have been fruitful throughout the years by stating, quoting, "Get-R-Done really turns the accent on for me whether I am on or off stage." He gained unparalleled insight into the comedy industry on the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, which was a watershed moment in his life. Notable guests on his trip were Bill Engvall, Ron White, and Jeff Foxworthy. This excursion was out of the ordinary. Taking place in the Warner Theater in Washington, D.C., it began in Omaha in January of 2000 and concluded in 2006. Famous and very well respected in his field, Jeff Foxworthy spearheaded this effort. Over the years, this Grammy-winning comedian's joked about rednecks had brought him immense popularity. According to the review, Foxworthy was motivated to go on the tour after seeing the original Kings of Comedy film. Foxworthy felt alienated from his usual audience, people from rural areas, because the assessment said the film was more suited to an urban hip audience. The tour was a smashing success, and it also established that the three of them had become inseparable comedic pals. Along with Larry, Foxworthy, and Ingval, they kept on touring in 2011 as Them Idiots World Tour. The CD and DVD showcasing the most recent performance from the Consol Energy Center in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania were released on March 13, 2012. From 2000 to 2006, they were a cultural phenomenon with a tour that grossed over $15 million. Much to Larry's delight, this tour catapulted him to new heights of fame. Just think about traveling with such famous people. Anyone would have profited from it, but Daniil was in a prime position, and that's why this tour was a watershed moment for his career. After the tour was a smashing success, Larry became even more of a comedic superstar with a slew of spin-offs and specials. Larry the Cable Guy, the famous American actor and comedian, has a whopping net worth of $100 million as of the year 2024. This is a very remarkable score. Foxworthy and Larry are still worth around $100 million even after all these years. Not only that, but he amassed a fortune that rivaled that of his longtime co-star. That speaks something about his innate comic ability. The two comics amassed considerable wealth from successful stand-up comedy tours, television appearances, and endorsement deals. A testament to their enduring appeal is their financial success. Their distinctive humorous approaches, which have resonated with viewers across the country. The iconic Disney Cars series featured him in one of his most successful roles. He was the voice actor behind the iconic Chevrolet boom truck Sir Tow Mater in the Cars series. This person appears in all three Cars films multiple times. You may also spot the character in the animated series Cars on the Road in Cars Toons. Undoubtedly, Daniil breathed new life into the endearing brown animated truck that kids around the world came to adore. Larry brought Mater's character to life to such an extent that his voice was also utilized for a ride named Mater's Junkyard Jamboree. Located in Cars Land, the adventure ride theme park at Disneyland in California, the attraction is a must-see. It didn't end there. An intriguing North Dakota food chain was also born out of Larry's success. An entire burger business and Larry the Cable Guy themed packaged dinners were created by North Dakota's Spectrum Foods. Thanks to the burger's success, the fast food restaurant was able to donate the proceeds to Larry's own Git-R-Done Foundation. Despite the fact that not everyone found Larry hilarious, he became a very likable comedian. It was the reason he was asked back to be a call-in guest on radio stations all over the nation. According to one reviewer, it was this quality that propelled him to stardom on the blue-collar comedy tour. It was the reason he became a movie celebrity, reality TV personality, and voice actor for 2 Pixar films. One of Larry's admirers wrote, "This movie is hilarious." In response to Larry the Cable Guy Health Inspector 2006. As far as American comics go, Larry the Cable Guy is up there with the most underappreciated and forgotten names. Many modern comedies rely on crude language, excessive sexual content, which isn't always a negative thing but needs proper execution, and insensitive gags. The movie and Larry's whole act are great examples of how his gags complement the characters portrayed by Joe Pantoliano, Iris Barr, and Thomas Wilson. One-of-a-kind treasure for humorists. I am quite impressed with this flick. Due in large part to his generous spirit, Larry became a much-loved comic. While honing his persona and relishing in Tay's subsequent success, he simultaneously established the Git-R-Done Foundation. Not only has Larry's generosity touched many people's lives, but his humor have also won over many. Children and veterans are the primary beneficiaries of the organization's efforts to improve their lives and provide them with the resources they need to overcome adversity. More than $8 million has been collected by the foundation since 2009. While the group accepts donations and monies at any time of year, they do hold an annual event called the Git-R-Done Golf Classic to raise money. In the midst of playing golf and rooting for their favorite teams, people also pitch in to raise money. Think about it, a comic spearheading an initiative to improve society. Sure, I'm sure it will be a blast. What this means is that we have arrived at the question that is on everyone's mind. Can you tell me where he is tonight? He left comedy for what reason? There was more to Larry the Cable Guy's life than just his successes and failures. In 2013, he was in a few of films that bombed at the box office. Even though it was a minor obstacle, he managed to overcome it. However, he quickly became embroiled in scandal and faced challenges. Larry the Cable Guy's Only in America, his own television show, was similarly a failure. His reputation took a hit after a scandal involving him and his previous manager became news. Officially retiring from stand-up comedy in 2020, he eventually chose to settle down, away from all the drama, despite enjoying enormous fame and love from all over the world. Since then, he's been quite busy doing voiceovers for various platforms, including Netflix, and he's been somewhat more chill. He has dabbled in some strange endeavors, like creating his own BBQ sauce. What a wide range, isn't it? Even though he said farewell, you can still find him online doing all sorts of things, like recording comedy videos and sharing his stand-up content. As his Instagram handle Git-R-Done attests, he is still faithful to his past glory. Cable Guy Larry, a wonderful indication of Guy's skill and perseverance in remaining in the comedy circle throughout the years is his career. Even when others said nasty things like his jokes are racist and all, he managed to keep his reputation intact. A wonderful spouse and friend to all, he lived up to his reputation. A parent who placed a high emphasis on the future he would create with his kids. Fans who are curious about his current whereabouts can get the answers on his social media accounts. His vitality and energy are just as high as they were when he first began performing stand-up comedy.